And back to part 2, starting at the gazebo with some trash next to it. So here's some daffodils transplanted from the forest, and definitely need to be divided this year. You can see where they got overrun by weeds, and they kind of died back. But these are azaleas that were air pruned. Basically, a branch got buried underground, and they rooted. So now they got transplanted, and this is going to be another little azalea corner, but according to my mom, they're trash azaleas, so we'll see. More wild daffodils. This needs to be pruned still. This is a beautiful rhododendron that got transplanted here, and for the longest time it was getting eaten by these bugs. I don't know what exactly was eating them, but they were really getting ravaged, and now they seem to be fending for themselves. So you can see the buds are just waiting to pop. Hydrangeas that bloom every 20 years, and they suck. More hydrangeas that never bloom. Roses that... I hate roses, basically. I mean, look at how sickly they look. The only roses I want are... ones with edible rose hips. And this is, of course, fruiting myrtle. Fruiting onion myrtle. And you can see how the pruning came along. Not too bad, but I'm going to come back to this guy. This needs to be pruned still. Here was a part of the work done today, replacing these stones. And it's not even, but they're higher up. I also scraped all the mulch off here and cut the ornamental grasses, which the deer started to eat this year. And this is the azalea, which I kept on pushing dirt against it, and some of these branches got covered, and that's where those azaleas came from. More prune jobs that could possibly use another little sweep. Everything in this part of the garden got pushed forward by this giant bay magnolia or southern magnolia, this evergreen variety, and it is the best. I mean, we use it on the table, and it has, a really large flower that makes the whole room smell beautiful. Here's some spring flowers. I don't know if that shows up, but they're a nice little yellow. This magnolia died back a few times. Oh, it's loud here. Firstly, just real quick, Pennsylvania State Bush, Mountain Laurel, I think. No, this isn't the... But whatever this is, I love it. I mean, it doesn't smell, but it looks so beautiful. It looks kind of like a lily of the valley, right? So this magnolia died a few times. It died back. And at one point, our compost heap had some oyster mushrooms in it, and they grew on this wood, and they were actually orange. It's the only time I've seen orange oysters outside of a grocery store. We didn't eat them, but because I didn't realize what they were until they were past their prime. So you can see how the stones came out. They look nice. Here's another azalea transplant with some bamboo that I'm probably going to get yelled at about. What else? Oh. Well, we're going to be going along the road, so it's going to be very loud for a second, but we'll make this quick. These stones could use a little bit of adjustment. and these daffodils probably could get moved around a lot. Here is one little project I did today. And another. This is from the cryptomeria that got whacked a little bit since the last video. And here's another little terrace of sorts. We'll see how it looks. From Suga. This needs work, that whole section. Oh, look at that. Silverstone. Knockout roses. You know, can't really argue with the fact that they're disease resistant, even though supposedly diseases are starting with them. Look at how beautiful the lantern roses are coming. Here is a place for stones. This is going to be done soon. More azalea transplants. Cryptomeria logs. Linden logs that I tried breaking or tried splitting, didn't really work. And this is our Dawn Redwood. Our 6 or 7 year old Dawn Redwood. It's coming along nicely. And I'm at 10% battery, so we'll see. This was a clone, in the sense that it was an offshoot from that cryptomeria, that beautiful cryptomeria. Now, this is what I did with all the needles from this pruning. We'll see how that comes along. But I'm using them for mulch because not much really grows through them. Moving on, some more light pruning. These are wild irises that were actually in a forest floor, and I've never seen them bloom before. So we'll see if they bloom or what kind of bloom they have. More hydrangeas, the bane of my existence. Oh, wild daffodils. Whenever they're clumped like that, those are usually ones I planted from the forest, because I didn't know what I was doing and I just replanted the clumps. But they look great as thick clumps, don't they? And they bloom. And I'm sorry about all those cars, but that's what happens when you live in a 4-lane road. Magnolia. Not that they get eaten by deer, but I just figured it would be a good idea to put that around it. Remember that pipe that was there? Now it's there where it's supposed to be, doing its job. So let's give you a peek of the vegetable garden. Roses, again, roses, roses, roses. Here is this glass, this cold frame that I made. So we have chives. Those are nasturtium, whatever, and parsley, and then we have big rows of radishes, arugula, and kale. So we're gonna have baby kale, we're gonna have all types of kale, and it's gonna get transplanted for all year for omelets. And these are French chives that were divided, and I think they're doing okay. I made like a mud hole, I made some like a swampy mud pit, and then stuck in little bunches of chives, kind of the way they plant rice in paddies. And it's looking good. it's looking good. More tempered glass that we'll figure out what to do with later. Landscape sculpture, and this giant dogwood. Let's see if we can get a branch so you can see how the buds are coming, because these buds are going to tell me when I can start going to pick morel mushrooms in the forest. Dogwoods flower around when morel mushrooms are ready to get picked. This is zinnias. Zinnias, red, pink, and orange zinnias. And they're in styrofoam. I gotta bring them inside to keep them warm so that it's actually worth it. And then Japanese chive that kind of has this rhizome, and it spreads like a weed, but it's really good in my gyoza, my Japanese dumplings that I make. And it seems authentic. Daffodils. Oh, let me show you those tulips that have the beautiful foliage.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
You know who that was. Queen of Silverstone. Fig.
Zosia?
And these got divided today. We'll see how they do. The Dutch irises aren't showing any growth. There is some garlic. And just mixed bulbs. So that's about it. Signing off from a long day in the garden. Good to have you guys here with me.